sgiliau a lles. Good afternoon all and welcome to this hybrid meeting of Education Skills and Wellbeing Scrutiny Committee on the 25th of April 2024. I am Councillor Rebecca Phillips and I will be chairing this meeting. Before we start on the agenda, I'm sure we're all thinking of those affected by the events that took place at Ysgol Dyffryn Aman yesterday and wishing them all a full recovery, and I'm sure they're in our thoughts. So thank you for that. Just to make everyone aware, as usual, the meeting will be recorded. Please can you ensure that your phones are switched to silent for the duration of the meeting and that your microphones are muted when not speaking. If members wish to speak or ask a question, please could you raise your electronic hands or physical hand if in the conference room. For the purpose of the next agenda item, which is declarations of interests, I can confirm that the committee has chosen to scrutinise Cabinet Board agenda items 6 and 7. Diolch yn fawr. So moving on with the agenda. Agenda item 2, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest from members today based on the items we have chosen to scrutinise?
I can't see any indications, Chair.
Okay, diolch yn fawr. Agenda item 3, minutes of the previous meeting. You will see the minutes attached at pages 5 to 10 of your agenda pack. If you feel that these minutes are an accurate record of the meetings, can I please have a proposer and a seconder?
Happy to propose, Chair.
Diolch.
Happy to second, Chair.
Thank you very much. If members do not indicate to the contrary, then I will take it that these minutes are approved.
I can confirm those minutes are approved, Chair.
Thank you very much. Agenda item 4, professional learning offers available for school-based staff. This report is here for information and is on pages 11 to 112 of the scrutiny agenda papers. Officers, would you like to add anything additional to the report, please?
Just a draft. Councillor Rogers, it was hand up.
I think it's a legacy hand.
Sorry, I'm having difficulty lowering it at the moment. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you.
No problem. Officers, have you got anything to add to the report?
Only to add, Chair, I hope that members can see the amount of training that is offered to all school-based staff across the Directorate.
Thank you very much. I know this report was requested by one of our members, so I will bring Councillor Caroline Lewis in at this point, please. Diolch.
Oh, hi. Thank you for the information. It's great to see the vast amount of training available to staff. The only question I have is, do you have the data to show how training has impacted teaching and learning outcomes within the schools? You know, and do you do any sort of questionnaires a few months later after the training to see how this has impacted the schools? And do you have any schools that don't actually engage in any of the training? Because I suppose as a head teacher with a budget, and every school has different priorities, it can also, you know, it can often determine what staff are able to leave school and access the training. So if you've got schools that don't engage, do you basically engage with them, is my question.
Yeah, Chair, I'll start with the first question asked about, do we follow up on the training? The answer to that is yes. So all training should be identified in the school's development plan and costed there. So obviously with resources being limited, we're more mindful of how staff can access certain courses because they're covered. We do a lot of work after school in set days, which is cost neutral as well. And we also go to the school itself and work alongside staff. So that's another cost neutral way of doing it. So we follow up with development plan monitoring through all sorts of officers. It's not just education support officers, inclusion officers, Neath workers, youth workers will all follow up with a school or individual staff to see if it's made a difference. They often take part in questionnaires during the training, and then we follow that up as well. Some schools may not take part, and again, that's followed up by an ESO to ask why. So that would be identified in their development plan. So if they have a target, for example, of improving literacy, and we see that they aren't attending the literacy courses that we put on, then that would be an issue that we would follow up with them. But you are right to mention that, you know, with cost as it is at the moment and budget, this can impact on training that can be accessed if there's cost to cover.
Okay, brilliant, thank you for that. And last question, is there, I could see that some training courses were pre-recorded. Is it something you might, I know it's nice to engage on a training course, of course it is, but is there any chance of pre-recording some of the training so staff can access it at any time?
Some courses are pre-recorded and it's the nature of the course. Others can't be because of that interaction that's needed throughout a course. And also, because a course is online, that doesn't necessarily mean the person that's participated in that course has fully engaged with it. It could just be running in the background while they do something else to gain a certificate in it. So we wouldn't want to lose the quality of that either.
No, totally understand. Lovely. Thank you for the answers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, both. Councillor Reynolds, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair. My question sort of was in the same vein, so thank you for the answers to that. But is the training available just to school-based staff? I think I know the answer to this, but I'm just clarifying. Or is it available to those providers who are, authority maintained in some sort of, so childcare providers who do Flying Start, who do, those sorts of things? I know that we provide courses to them, but other circumstances where we're maintaining a work with young people, is that training available to them?
Some of the training is, but to answer honestly, the document was asked about school-based staff.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying.
But we would involve our other partners as well. So, with Flying Start, early years practitioners, they have full access, especially with inclusion as well. So they do have access to it, but I wouldn't necessarily have access to the full amount because a lot of it is focused on school-based staff and the development plan.
I'm happy to add, Chris, if it's
please.
But, whether it's appropriate, particularly with ALN and ALM reform and legislation. So partners in college, we've delivered a lot to partners in health in terms of student service. It's certainly much wider than schools for our side of the menu.
Thank you. And having said that, whilst it's really pleasing to see all the training, and I know it's all necessary. I really know it's all necessary. The weight of some of the training, the level of the learning requirement on staff in all sectors, early years specifically for me, but also for youth, for teachers in schools as governor. I'm aware of that, the real amount that they've got to try and take in and accumulate, even as a governor, the amount. And is there a danger, following on from Caroline, of that having a more knock-on effect on budgets, knowing that you've got to do that and you've got to manage to replace this member of staff? I know you try and make it as many, but is there a knock-on impact on teaching and learning in schools?
I think this fundamentally comes down to leadership. If I'm honest, you have to plan your training, and that's where the school development plan is the most useful document. You should plan ahead. So, for example, if we talk about first aid or fire warden training, you would know that a member of staff is either going to retire or move on. You should replace that so you have the appropriate amount of people in school. And that can be done quite at cost neutral. 6 inset days. We've got ads time on a Monday for most schools. Again, PPA time. Some of our teachers come to us during their PPA time and receive extra training, and we go to them. We work alongside teachers. This isn't just about perhaps a course they attend. So it can be done on a cost neutral. Pressure on certain staff, that should also be catered for in the development plan. So if you're really focused on literacy, numeracy, and say digital skills in a small primary school, that could be the same person. So that's the coordinator in all three. So you have to be a strong leader and a good manager to work out what's the most important and what isn't.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Really useful information. I'm just wondering, do we have any data on, is there a correlation between how many staff members go on a certain course and the impact that has on the school? Say that their target was numeracy. you know, do we measure up, all right, this school is doing really well, it's because they're attending the courses, or this school is doing poorly because they're not attending the courses? Do we have any data on that, I wonder?
We have some data, Chair. So, for example, if we talk about Read, Write, Inc. or Whitehead Roads Maths, where schools are fully engaged in it and all members of staff have access training, we can see it's improved at an accelerated rate. However, just because you attend training, it doesn't mean that you then put it into practice. So we have to make sure that the training matches the need of the school on an individual basis sometimes. And through performance management, which is individual staff targets, they should be accessing the course that has the greatest impact on children. So we do monitor it. Can we see a direct correlation? I wouldn't have that evidence.
Thank you very much for that. And you know, I think we can all agree it's a comprehensive training program, isn't it? And you know, I'm sure we would all try and get our heads to send staff on courses when they can, but also we understand the restrictions that they have, unfortunately. So thank you very much, officers, for that. Diolch yn fawr. Are there any questions on this item? No,
No question.
I don't see any. So the report is for information, therefore we note the report. Agenda item 5, Celtic Leisure Working Group update. This report is also here for information, is on pages 113 to 116 of your papers. Officers, would you like to add anything, please?
No, thanks, Chair.
No problem. And I know Councillor Reynolds had requested a report on this. So Councillor Reynolds, would you like to ask your questions, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Interesting. Thank you for the report. And I was a bit thrown to see the fair sparsity of the terms of reference. I'd anticipated something a bit more specific, but you know, that's what you have. Can someone let me know the date of the first meeting of this group, please?
Yeah, happy to say so. I mean, in terms of reference, I think the most important thing now is everybody's engaged in and everybody is. So I didn't want to make it any more complicated than it needed to be, really. In terms of the meetings, first one was on the 5th of Feb, the second one was on the 22nd of Feb, the third one was on the 13th of March. We haven't yet had the next one. We're waiting for some financial work to be done for the next one, which I anticipate being in the next, hopefully the next 10 days, couple of weeks.
So they were supposed to be every 2 weeks.
Yeah, they were every 2 weeks, and I'm just waiting for some financial information to see the point of having the next one until we have that information, which we're just waiting for now. So I'm hopeful I'll get that in the next few days, and then we'll organise another one for the next couple of weeks.
Thank you. In terms of the first meetings, it says looked at the cost profile.
Yeah.
Can you indicate what consideration there's been on income generation within that, and the balance, effectively the balance of expenditure to income generation possibilities, and in addition, cross-linkage of services possibilities? Has there been any consideration of that?
So the income generation side of things hasn't been something that the working parties focused on, but Celtic Leisure have made quite great strides actually in some of the income generation. So they came in significantly under what we expected the budget to be last financial year. It's just gone, and we've started this financial year, I think it's with a saving of nearly £500,000 actually against that. That's part of the NTFP. And we're confident that they'll make that. So that's mainly done through generating income, usually through memberships is the key items. So Celtic have also just produced a sort of their own business plan, which I think they're just taking to their board at the moment as well, around how they're going to focus for the next year or so. So that's very much around income generation and improving some of those services. As for other linkages, no, we haven't focused on other linkages through the rest of the council at this stage. More about trying to make sure that the cost profile of those coming in was managed, because at the moment it's still about £1.4 million.
Thank you. Now, my concern is that if if we are looking to a real business plan, looking at how it might come in, then we need more than just the costs. We need to understand how that will pan out, what the possibilities are for savings across the rest of the authority because of that work done. Is that on the agenda for this group at any point?
Not at this stage, no, but it will. It's something that we will do I do with Paul, depending on the outcome of the working group. I think that will be it's quite crucial, really. So I think that sort of business plan of how we intend to operate those services when they come back in will be a piece of work we will do as the year goes on.
Thank you. And with it says possibly looking at a phased transition. Can you explain a little?
We had a conversation about whether we could do things some things earlier, some things later. Just simply trying to sort of see how does that affect the cost profile and those sorts of things. And actually, if I remember rightly, I'm looking at you, Ken, I don't think that was palatable for the unions in the first place, so we literally dropped it pretty much straight away.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So yeah. Thank you.
Sorry.
No, I'm just.
I'm going from memory. There's something to verify that.
No, that's useful to know. And you're talking, and perhaps Ken may have more idea, but late spring. So late spring. For a report would be end of May, June.
I think partly it depends on what the dates are of the board, so we've got a vote at that point, and it also depends on the outcome of the working group. I think is to that. So I was thinking trying to get something in before the summer recess is probably my ideal thing. It'll just depend on the outcome of some of the work that's going on at the moment around the costs. If I'm honest, I don't think we are able to move the costs greatly. We're still having a look at how that works. But we're still going to be upwards of £1 million, I think, in terms of the cost to bring it in house. There's clearly some decisions to be made.
If we don't look at how things interlink and there are savings in other areas of our provision, including education as normal and social services and others that might link across, then we're not going to.
Well, I'm just picking up that point. There's the NHS have got some funding through their hub sites. And the meeting next week, I think, with Chalet on the housing sector, to sort of try and work out how we could possibly integrate some of those hubs as an example. But that's really early stuff, and I couldn't sit here or at any certainty and say that that would produce X number of saving. I'm also not sure geographically where they want them either. So there are some opportunities, but I'm not sure they're realisable to that level in the short term.
No, we need to think about a business plan for the longer term. That's all I'm indicating.
Just sorry, I think on that Celtic Leisure have a business plan. They are working that through. They focus on the income generation. They've made really great strides in improving that. So that's been a real positive.
Can you indicate when that business plan, because we used to see their business plans, we used to see things coming forward to the committee. And we used to have one-to-ones with Celtic, in committee. So it might be useful to think about that going forward.
Absolutely, and I need to just check when it goes to their board and there's a sequence for that. But I'm happy to have it.
That would be great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, both for that. Are there any other questions on this item, please?
No further questions in the conference room.
Okay, thank you. So again, this report is for information, therefore we note the report. We will now move to the Cabinet Board agenda for pre-decision scrutiny, and we've chosen to scrutinise both items that are in front of us. And the first one is the Children and Young People's Plan and Early Years Strategy, pages 15 to 70. The report is your decision is on those pages. Officers, would you like to add anything additional, please?
Just to introduce it really, the plan, and to say that you've been working into this. It was something that was looked at prior to COVID, and it was at that time looking more like a plan on the page. I think post-COVID, if we say post-COVID, a lot of change, and we wanted to ensure that we were engaging with families, communities, children, to understand what current concerns and pressures were with professionals, so that we had real agreement on what the priorities were. This is the plan. That was the vision and the priorities in the plan. But from this, as we've said, there will be then delivery groups on each of these areas, where we will be taking that work forward then with clear objectives, timescales, responsibilities, so that we have some real tangible outcomes from the plan. But it's been a huge amount of work over the last sort of almost a year, and I think that's really an introduction to it. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much for that. Councillor Reynolds, please.
Yeah, page 17. I was wondering, looking for a bit more detail on how learners were included from vulnerable groups, and it's my normal question, I'm afraid, because it does concern me that certain categories of young people get left out because some are chopped in, some aren't, so it's useful to know exactly how you went about that.
Absolutely, and that's a really important question, and it was really important to us that we did capture those vulnerable groups within this, and that they were represented. So we employed a consultant to help us facilitate and do extensive consultation to put the plan together, really. And as you see from the document, there was a wide range. So we gave them a list of who we wanted to consult with, and in terms of, you'll see there, mental health, domestic violence, carers, LGBT. There was a range of groups that we wanted to, and then special schools, those represented within the Youth Council. So it's quite an extensive list. And I think what's important is we've taken their views to put the plan together and to reach the priorities, but we will continue to take their views as we develop the delivery groups, and we'll also include them, because you may remember a little while ago we brought a participation engagement strategy to Cabinet, and the important thing there was that a new process which we're going to take on as a directorate to make sure that we are engaging children and people from all groups, but particularly those that may be not represented. And the other thing, so I'm going to answer your question quite broadly, within that strategy is that we give children the skills, because sometimes we can say we're going to engage with vulnerable groups and we talk to them, but sometimes those children have confidence, they have the skills. So as well as having the strategy which we deliver through this plan, we also have some work to do with schools and with our vulnerable groups as well, children with ALN and so forth, that we give them the skills to be part of a consultation and engagement process as well. So I hope that's answered your question.
Thank you. My second question sort of follows on quite well from that, because in the document on page 18, it says Valley's communities impacts, and this is another of my constant questions. It says positive, the plan will ensure voices and opinions of communities and children, young people are considered. I am unaware as a councillor for an area and a trustee of the only youth group in the area and of the only childcare provider in the area, exactly how parents or young people were consulted and involved in that in a Valleys community, which is right at the edge of the community and often doesn't engage well. We have to work to get them to engage. So I wondered how that was being done, because I actually don't believe it at the moment. Sorry.
Okay, again, so we did extensive consultation. So we had so we went to speak to groups of people. So whereas so there's a special schools youth council where children would have been represented from all communities. We did a big drive online for consultation. We did some incentives, sort of also like a recruitment drive online. So we would have people represented there as well. Those consultation responses were anonymous. So it sort of went as wide as we could with the consultation. We also consulted with professionals grouped in those areas and had their feedback as well. And we also created extensive data, and we had to make a decision around what data was going to go into the plan. When we first had the plan, it was like War and Peace, we had to trim that down. When we come to look at the working groups as well, the delivery groups, we'll be looking at more about the data across the authority there. But in terms of the groups, we did as much as we could. We employed a consultant. We did, as I say, groups, representative groups online. Everything.
I have a great deal of respect for the Youth Council, but they are a very self-selected group of able young people. You know, to be quite honest, it's inevitable. It's absolutely inevitable. So, you know, a number of the young people that I'm talking about would be those that are known to the criminal justice service, that don't, you know, that are neurodiverse, that don't actually feature, maybe undiagnosed neurodiverse, you know, who don't actually feature, who are regularly in trouble, you know, you know, are the ones no one really wants to have around that much or deal with because they're problematic. And they're the ones that perhaps we need to consult with more.
We did, we did speak to them in terms of the groups that we had together. In engage with the youth.
Yes, to my commitment. So it's young carers, care experienced. Through the youth service, we linked in with those groups. For example, as I already mentioned, the LGBTQ+ groups as well. YOVO, we also use the work from the participation engagement strategy that had already taken place as well. So we tried to ensure those children were represented and within the wider community as well. So for example, the employed staff went to breastfeeding groups to speak to those mums. We looked how they could be supported in order to reform the strategy as well. So we did a lot of small group works. I think it's very important to speak to those young people in the small group situation where they are comfortable. So the consultant being employed as well as our local authority office went to those groups after hours on the advice of the youth service. But in addition, when we consulted with partners, they were able to direct us to those groups. So we consulted with our partners back in September, and they were able to say, this group you need to come to speak to those to be vulnerable.
It was important that we did that because when we met, everybody would engage online. So you put out online consultations, and what was important is we consulted with them on the plan, and then we went back once we drafted the plan to ask their thoughts on opinion. And as we go forward and we put in the delivery groups and the actions, we will involve them in that and evaluating this as well. But absolutely about having the voice of underrepresented, but important that we also align that through the discussion engagement strategy, giving the skills and the confidence to do that with us.
Thank you very much. And if I may, Chair, just the last comment. It's a good plan. Yeah, it's, however, it does seem to concentrate a little too much on the what we will do. It looks lovely. Yeah, we will do this, we will do that. I am very aware that life isn't good out there at the moment, that, you know, schools are struggling, organisations are struggling, you know, people are struggling with life in general, and young people, you know, our attendance is still at schools is still struggling to get through. We still have people who haven't really come back from the pandemic and haven't recovered. We know we've got issues. That didn't feature. I know you want to be upbeat and positive about this is the plan, this is where we're going, but also there was very little how. And then I read the next document that's on our and thought that's where the how is. And I wondered how the connections, you know, is there a clear connection between the directorate plan that's there and this children and young people plan?
There is, and there's two strands to this. There are priorities within this that are directorate priorities. So you'll see we have things around mental health, children with additional learning needs, there's parenting, there's our key priorities there aligned with this. But ultimately, this is also a partnership plan. That's absolutely key that we have partners involved in this. We can't do it on our own. Some of the, and I agree, and again, it was decisions made through consultation how much data do we put in. We heard some quite harrowing stories in terms of consultation. So we want to be clear when we set up our delivery groups that whereas poverty isn't a priority here because we have our strategy for poverty, is that we are feeding into that through the work that we're doing here as well. So that was also important. But absolutely ties in with the directorate plan, ties in with the wellbeing objective, one for the corporate plan. Obviously, it will feed to the public service board because it is a partnership plan as well. So really, these priorities here are reflected and aligned with not just our own plans, but with partnership plans as well. And that's the feedback that we had. And it's very important when we engage with partners. Is it what are the priorities in your plans? That we do get together with that we are agreed we're looking the same things together.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. Diolch yn fawr. Yeah, as Councillor Renner says, it is a very good plan, and I was really pleased to see the changes that had been made following the consultation process as well, because I just think there's no point in consulting unless we're actually going to, change something about the plan, and that's when I think young people do actually feel like we're listening to them. So I think that's something really important. I did raise concerns previously regarding a bit of blurred lines. You said it was a partnership plan and who was responsible for what, but you did reassure me that it's a working document, and obviously we will be kept updated as the document progresses, won't we?
Of course, yes. No, welcome to bring it back and talk you through our progress. Now my voice is going. Sorry.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much. Do any other members have questions on this, please? No,
Chair, so Nia Jenkins has a hand down. Comes from.
Oh, Nia Jenkins. Councillor Jenkins, come in, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Just to reiterate, really, that this has been a huge undertaking, and I'd like to thank all the education staff because only they were brave enough to take this on when this document is actually shared ownership with health and everybody else. So they took this undertaking on. But just to point out that what you were scrutinising earlier with the professional learning report, it actually links in with this very well as well, because you've got the Flying Start and private childcare offers out in the community, and they are partnership within the young people's plan and educating themselves. Then it all links together. So just to say a huge congratulations and eternal thanks for the last year of your life.
Now the work actually begins now.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and yeah, congratulations and good luck, I think, is needed for this. Any other questions? No. So the recommendations are listed on page 18 and 19 of the Cabinet Board agenda packs. Please, can I have a proposer and a seconder?
I'm happy to propose, Chair.
Thank you.
A second, Chair.
Diolch yn fawr. Can members please indicate if they wish to abstain?
See no abstentions, Chair.
Members, if you do not indicate to the contrary, then I will take it that this decision is supported to Cabinet Board.
Chair, I can see no indications to the contrary, so this recommendation is supported to Cabinet Board.
Diolch yn fawr. Agenda item 7, Education, Leisure and Lifelong Learning Strategic Directorate Plan. The report is here for information and is on pages 71 to 112 of the papers. Officers, would you like to add anything to the report, please?
Only to reiterate what's been said before, Chair, it's not a standalone plan, and on page 72 it does show the additional links with other strategic plans, as it should. They should all talk to each other.
There we are, fantastic. And Councillor Reynolds, I believe you just wanted some clarification over this item.
I was just really interested to see it. I thought it gave us much more information and insight to the actual delivery and development than We get with the monitoring, we do 3 monthly on targets, which I feel a bit meaningless on occasions. Usually set by an outside body or required by an outside body, and it's it doesn't tell us that much. I know we need to do it, but there you go. And whether or not it would be possible to see this on a fairly regular basis, Chair, just to ongoing to look and to know how things were moving through, how things were developing, because it must be a document that moves and develops, and whether or not it could be a useful tool, particularly in the new model of scrutiny, for us to use to monitor.
And I support that that recommendation as well, officers, please, if that's possible.
Yeah, happy to bring it back on with it as a monitoring document to show as we're making progress. Not every target will make progress at the same rate as others, but there are other plans that will be monitored as well. What I don't want to do, if it's okay, I don't want to spend all our time writing a report to bring it to you and take away from the fact of doing the actual job. So I think in real terms, it could come sort of halfway through, and then you'll have a new plan then when we show you how much progress we've made.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, Chair, and also below this are the service plans as well. So this is the directorate plan, and sitting below that are half a dozen other plans. And again, those feed up through. So we can bring a selection of those through as well.
The information would be very useful, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, officers. We really don't want to give you more work, but it's just really useful for us to have the information to scrutinise. Thank you, diolch. Any other questions on this item, please?
Chair, we have Marie in the conference room.
Okay, Marie Cardick, please. Thank you.
It's just I was pleased to see that we're doing a lot for apprenticeships now. It's more at the front, I feel, than before, and I'd be interested in to follow that up when you can, because I think it is important, the apprenticeship schemes. They died off, didn't they? They've come back now.
Yeah, they did.
See that. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for raising that important point. Do we have any further questions? Nope. So this report is for information, therefore we note the report. So that's the pre-decision of public items. We'll now move back to the scrutiny agenda. Item 7, committee action log. This is a standing item. Therefore, this is for noting unless members have any questions. Agenda item 8, urgent questions. I have none, but I believe Councillor Peter Rees would like to just come in and say a few words. Councillor Rees, please.
Thank you, Chair. And can I join with you in your thoughts for the Amman Valley School? And on that basis, the question I wanted to ask was, are we able to ensure that our schools have a lockdown procedure and implementation of that procedure? I know that in my own, when I'm chair governors, that's being done. I just wanted to know perhaps if that could be done across the authority, and hopefully not be, that we wouldn't need it, but at least we'd be prepared.
Happy to take that, Chair, if it's a question.
Thank you.
It's not, I mean, it is tragic what happened, but 7 or 8 years ago, I think it was, our schools implemented the lockdown policy before the word lockdown was associated to COVID. So they all have a lockdown policy, which is associated to the safeguarding policy and all Wales Child Protection. We have regular training sessions on it through part of safeguarding audit. We also have Richie Thomas and his team in environment that go and do the prevent and protect agenda with our schools as well. So I'm confident that our schools have a policy. What our schools need to be confident now is that they're acting upon that policy. It's the responsibility of the leaders of the school and the governing body to make sure that our schools are practicing and implementing those lockdown procedures where appropriate, without panicking or scaring the children or families.
Yeah.
It's a very fine line, isn't it? Especially when we're talking, primary school children. It's really scary, but I don't know if it's worth us putting a letter out, Chris, to heads, just reminding them, you know, that although they have a policy in place, they do have, you know, responsibility to ensure that they are making those procedures.
That information's gone out already, Chair.
Of course
Because
it
we're
has.
responding to my last phone call was at 10 o'clock last night regarding this. So heads are very aware of it, staff are aware of it, parents and families are aware of it. It's caused an unfortunate ripple, which could end up benefiting some schools to get their policy out and to make sure it's fit for purpose. But you can't predict or plan for everything, but it shouldn't stop you from trying.
No, exactly. Thank you very much, diolch. Pam, have you put your hand up to give me a row because I'm going off?
No. Councillor Reynolds would like to come in, please.
Oh, Councillor Reynolds.
Thank you. I just wanted to indicate that, you know, a high number of young people from Gwauncae Gyrwyn, Cwngors, Tagwaith and Brynhaman attend Ysgol Dyffryn and were caught up in this yesterday. And as a result, Mardi Youth, an organised chaos in the area, ran support programmes yesterday evening and will ongoing. There's some mental health counselling that goes on with that. And I just wondered whether the total of any further support for those pupils, given that they're our residents but they're pupils in Carmarthenshire, because if people need to understand, it's a bilingual school in Carmarthenshire. It gives options and it's easier for some people to access than Ysgol if they want the Welsh or part Welsh learning. That, you know, whether or not there is any support available within our authority for young people in that regard.
Would you like me to answer?
Yeah, please.
I think what's really important is that whatever response we provide is coordinated with Carmarthenshire. I think that's first and foremost, because the support effectively that we would be providing if it happened in Neath Talbot would be around our Neath Talbot schools. So we have to be very mindful that the school is the community that's best placed to support these young people. They are based in that school community. But I can certainly liaise with our manager on our school-based counselling service and ask them to touch base with school, to touch base with their school-based counselling services to see if there's any collaborative work that we could be involved in and facilitate.
And perhaps it might be possible to have some support from the youth service.
Certainly we can look at that.
Thank you.
We did, when we heard of the news yesterday, one of the first things that we did was try to understand who were the cohort of young people, because obviously, you know, we often have children that are placed there. Maybe we would have placed, or social services may have placed, but I think as you're right, it sits on
my
the
son
border.
went there. I know the school well.
Yeah, I think the majority of young people, you're absolutely right, they're residents in Neath Talbot, but it was quite a good choice to place rather than any of that were our responsibility and we placed there as well. But we can certainly support and work with schools, and if there's anything that's needed on a longer term basis, then certainly our parents can be signposted if needed.
Thank you.
Can I just add to that, sorry, Sonia, because I know yesterday it was a bit of a everything was happening quite fast, wasn't it? And the pupils who attend Dyffryn are not, because they don't attend our schools, they're not on our databases.
No.
Yeah.
But we know from the transport that we provide that there's around 70 children.
Yeah.
Now, they are children that the only link we have with them is the transport. So it's going to take a lot of unpicking to work out, and we've got to follow manager's lead.
There are other links in the community, and there is a youth service link with the providers to be developed.
It could certainly be, but I think we'll let you do the formal work first, and as soon as we know that, we know if we can.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
No, it's important. Sorry, Nia, did I jump?
No, you're fine. If I may, sorry,
Yes,
Rebecca.
yes.
Just to add, on the lockdown proceedings, yes, every school has got them. There have been incidences where parents have been quite vocal on social media, where they've been concerned that practice run lockdowns have been run in school, but these things are important. And they are done without alarming the pupils. It's made into a fun game more than anything, where pupils are run through, well, let's pretend a car's crashed through the front gate or whatever. So as most of us are our governors and our community leaders, it would just be nice if we could all just reassure parents and the communities that our schools are safe, and we do have actions, action plans in place should there be any issues, as we saw relatively successfully yesterday in Dyffryn Aman. And just on the psychology thing, I know there's a charity in Ammanford, the Jack Lewis Foundation. They're actually working with Dyffryn Aman School as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Diolch yn fawr, everybody. It's just really sad and really worrying, isn't it? So yeah, anything we can do as an authority to support, I know that we'll do that. So thank you, officers, for all your work as usual. Right, that brings us to the end of the meeting. Diolch yn fawr. Thank you for all your questions and points and your time. Safe journey home, and I'll see you all soon. Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Cheers. Thank you.